Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. We had a 4-day weekend, Tony. How'd you spend it?
Tony Kornheiser, the usual. Golfing, napping, parkour. You know, it's what I do.
Well, what are you, Spider-Man? Isn't parkour like jumping stuff? What are you talking about?
The way it was explained to me is you jump from building to building.
Yeah.
I don't think I could make the first jump.
Well,
I mean, I
if you're
don't imagine I could
Spider-Man
do
and
that.
you can spin webs, maybe you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not Spider-Man.
Peter Parker,
And
okay.
I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. Parkour. Please, take a hike. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Rory McIlroy looks to the future. The Warriors fall into the play-in, and the Suns fire Coach Boo. But we begin today with Rory McIlroy winning the Masters, becoming only the sixth golfer ever to win all four majors. Rory won on the first hole of a sudden death playoff with Justin Rose by birdieing the hole he had just bogeyed to end up in a playoff to begin with. This was the wildest golf tournament I'd ever seen, and like you, Mike, I watched every single shot of it. So, Wilbon, what are your thoughts about what Rory accomplished and how he did it?
Well, Tony, to me, it's going to be memorable in ways that very few events are memorable. And sometimes it's not all good. I mean, you remember the Frenchman, Jean Van de Velde, who made a mess of the British Open and wound up rolling up his pants and getting in the way. You have visuals, right? You got great shots, you got bad shots, you got situations that don't make sense for professionals to be in. And in the case of Rory, these beautiful shots with draw that are a million feet high that land softly and roll perfectly to within tap-in range, except, oops, he doesn't actually tap it in often enough to have this drama. So it's the visuals of the drama I'm going to remember. I don't know that 10 years from now, I'm going to remember that he made the birdie putt after he missed the eagle tap in, or I don't know that it's going to be the specifics, but the up and down nature of it, taking us with him. You were so disgusted at one point yesterday. I thought you were going to have to just lay down and go to sleep. You sounded exhausted as we talked about this thing all day.
Yeah, it was agonizing. I mean, for me to just watch, because I will say that I rooted for Rory. I did root for Rory even before the thing began, and I know you did as well. So I'm going to start with the big picture here before we get into granular shots. And the big picture is that Rory was great and Rory was awful. And because Rory won, the awful is going to go away, and it's going to be a redemption story. But, Mike, I believe I believe by winning this thing, he salvaged the rest of his career.
Yes.
I think if he had lost this, I would have joined a lot of people in basically saying, Rory, get out of golf and open up a driving range, because that's what you're good at now, because this isn't working. This is the greatest achievement of his career, and he choked like a dog many times in it. When the tournament begins on Thursday, he doubles 15, he doubles 17. It's gagapotamus. On Saturday, he opens up on 1 and 2, 3-3. Birdie eagle. He takes the lead. On Sunday, the same two holes, Mike. He goes 6-5, and he loses the lead. He made great shots. This is to your point. He made some great shots on 15. He made a great shot on 16. But he didn't get the putts that would have iced it. He did not get the putts that would have iced it. And he made terrible shots, inexcusably terrible shots on 13.
Shots that you and I might
on
execute.
13. Yes, he put it in the water. On 18, he put it in the sand. We would have done that. And he puts himself, and then on 18 again on the redo, on the first playoff hole, he puts it to 2 feet. And as I told you this morning, Mike, I was afraid he'd miss it. I was afraid he would miss that putt.
By then, I thought the story was written, and he had to make it. If he misses there, I might have had to turn the TV off, too, because part of it was painful to watch. And I'm just glad he did, because Rory seems like such a decent fellow. Whether you agree with a stance or not here and there, he's out front, he's honest, he's candid, he wears his emotions. He doesn't hold back. Mike, he doesn't seem passive-aggressive. I just like Mike, Rory McIlroy. I just like him.
He went down on the ground when he won, and he wept.
Yeah.
He didn't just get teary-eyed. He wept. Look, he was the main actor for 4 days. The other people were supporting actors like Scheffler and Oberg and Justin Rose and DeChambeau. This was Rory's stage. And I felt that this was sports at its greatest.
Yeah.
And I felt it ended the right way. I did. I loved it.
That's why he had to make the putt. Okay, let's make the putt, and then let's move from what Rory has now accomplished to what lies ahead. Next month's PGA Championship is at Quail Hollow, a course on which Rory has won 4 times already. The U.S. Open is at Oakmont, and you know it demands quality off the tee, but that's Rory's strength. Yeah. And the British Open is at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland, where Mr. McIlroy set the course record of 61 when he was 16. So, Tony, does this Masters win alter your expectations for Rory going forward?
So let me just set the scene first. Rory is now a golf immortal. He has joined Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, and Gene Sarazen as the only people ever to win all 4 majors. Arnold Palmer didn't win all 4, and he's one of the greatest players of all time. So Rory doesn't have to win anymore. He's already on the big wall. Having said that, I think he's going to win multiple majors. He reminds me now of where Phil Mickelson was when Phil Mickelson at age 33 won his first major, a Masters, and then won 5 after that. Rory's 35. They're in the same basic age bracket. Mike, I think he's going to win 2 more Masters because that's the tournament where older guys win it because it's a smaller field and they can keep up with it. Yeah, Quail Hollow on the tour all the time, won there 4 times, has 9 top 10s. Oakmont, no trees, bomb it, and he can do that. Royal Portrush, they had an Open there. He didn't even make the cut. Terribly embarrassing, I think, and made him feel terrible. But if the demons are gone, Mike, I think, honestly, that he can win some of these. I think he can win some more majors. Now, look, you know, Oberg is there, and Hovland is there, and Scheffler is there, and Schauffele is there, you know, but Rory's not ancient. Rory, in the 10 or 11 years where he didn't win a major, Rory was competitive. It's not like Jordan Spieth or Dustin Johnson where you say, where are they? So, yeah, I think he can win multiple.
I think he'll win a lot. I'm going to go back to 2000 in Chicago, Tony, when Tiger Woods, coming off having won 1 major in 97, actually it was in 99 at Medina.
99,
I was covering 99. I'm covering my first major championship for the Washington Post as a columnist. And I was a little nervous about what I was going to say. And I called a sage mentor, an Anthony Kornheiser, who was probably napping at home earlier because Tiger, you know, he beat Sergio that day, but then it was over. And what I wanted to write, because what I felt was Tiger's going to go crazy now. This frees him. Winning the one that took off the pressure, which was the second one, freed up Tiger. And he wound up winning 6 of the next 12 major championships. Yeah. So I got that one right, and I feel I'm going to get this one right. I feel Rory is now freed, and there's no pressure because he's got this career thing
That's the
done.
Right word.
And he is going to go wild, and he may win, I don't know, 4 of the next 10. I just think his game is that good. And when you hear people say he's the best of our generation, they say it with admiration. Now he can go for it, and I think he will.
There is a certain amount of limit. I mean, he'll be competitive into his early 40s, but that's 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah,
he's got some time. He can win him. He can win him. We move on. The NBA entered the final day of the regular season with all sorts of balls up in the air. Now some have settled in. Denver will be 4th in the West with a new coach and lots of scrutiny. Golden State lost the opportunity to be 6th. They will have to negotiate the play-in. The Clippers continued their hot streak, landed in 5th. So, Wilbon, what's your big takeaway from Sunday's results?
Wow. Tony, I've got 2, and they came from the same game. You know, I texted you about 1,000,000 times yesterday. Yes, I was watching Rory on a big screen, a slightly smaller screen. I was watching the Warriors and Clippers. And that's where my takeaway comes from. Actually, 2 of them. 1, we got to slow our roll on the Warriors, who you know I love and root for. I mean, Jimmy Butler and Steph and Draymond, I root for them. I'm not going to, Steve Kerr, I do. But they've lost 3 out of at least 5, maybe 3 out of 4, after they beat the Lakers in L.A., They lost these games at home. They couldn't beat San Antonio at home. And yesterday, they couldn't stop the Clippers. They couldn't stop. And that leads me into the second part of this is, oh, my God, the Clippers look great. What are they now, like 16-2 lately? When Kawhi Leonard, Tony, is not dragging his leg, and this is the first time I haven't seen him drag it since 2019, and he dragged it then in the postseason too. they're really, really, really good and potentially great. Because you got Harden in a secondary role. You got Kawhi Leonard, who has led 2 franchises to championships. You got T. Lue, a coach. You've got Zubac, Big Zubac, who is now one of the best defensive players in the league. So my takeaways are, wait a minute on Golden State and let's go. Let's pay attention to the Clippers.
Yeah, I know that you don't like the fact that Golden State is in a play-in game. I don't find the play-in game as onerous as you do. I find it something that you actually build momentum for the real playoffs. Jimmy Butler, when he was on Miami, took a team from the play-in all the way to the NBA Finals.
Good point.
The Lakers a couple of years ago went from the play-in to the conference finals. So Golden State has to basically win 1 game at home, and I don't think that's insurmountable. That's not my biggest takeaway. My biggest takeaway is this. I am so glad that the Warriors did not finish 6th and have to play the Lakers in the first round.
Me too.
Because I don't want to see either LeBron James or Steph Curry have to leave the playoffs at the hand of the other in the first round. Because I want to root sentimentally for a couple of rounds for somebody. I don't care about Oklahoma City now. There's plenty of time to care about Oklahoma City. The playoffs are April, May, and June. Look, I want to see Boston and Cleveland. That's 3 months down the road. So just let me keep alive the hope that either Curry or LeBron is going to get to the final.
Well, you're in good shape. You're in good shape, but you got to make sure the Warriors actually beat Memphis. Huh? They look a little old and creaky yesterday. I'm worried about them.
They'll beat them at home. They'll beat them. Coming up, the sorry Sixers are bringing back your boy Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse, who watches PTI next season.
Love both of them.
Should they have made a change?
And will the NHL playoffs suffer without any of America's original 6? Well, the United States' original 6.
We should tell people we are both so happy that Rory won. We are both so. We invested the whole week. It's time to validate the viewers in mail time. Let me see what's first here as I go to my glasses. Here we go. Are the Sixers right to run it back next season?
Tony, yes, but with this caveat. Look, they have their draft pick for the moment. And they got to finish top 5. Otherwise, it goes away. I think it goes to Oklahoma City. But let's just say they win the lottery, all right? And you're seeing Paul George. You're seeing, guys who are injured. Maxey was hurt, of course. The franchise player has been hurt for a long time. But, Tony, if they wind up with Cooper Flagg, if the commissioner says them with the first pick, the Philadelphia 76ers select, and that's entirely possible, they got like a 10% chance. Tony, who wouldn't you put Cooper Flagg on that team if they're healthy? I know that, and I want Nick Nurse back. I do. I want to see it one more time. Call me crazy. I'll take it. I'll live with the result. But I want to see what happens with the lottery and the pick. And so far, I'd say yes.
I'm going to take an entirely different position. And I'm going to start by saying the Sixers are a clown show. They've been a clown show since they started trusting the process. Look at some of the draft picks they've made. Nerlens Noel and Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. Yes, they got Embiid in the draft, and Embiid is a terrific player, except he doesn't actually ever play because he's always hurt. And Daryl Morey, I don't know what med school he went to, but he is convinced now that this is the greatest thing that ever happened to Embiid, and he will never be hurt again. I don't necessarily trust that. Paul George is a disaster. He's hurt all the time. He's going to be 35 in a couple of weeks. He's done. So their big three is one guy. It's Tyrese Maxey and 2 guys who don't actually play. So you can run it back and finish 6th. That's fine. You're pie in the sky about Cooper Flagg. That's great. Everybody should believe that. But it's a long shot, Mike. It's a long shot.
Everything's a long shot. Everything.
Last one.
Rory making that putt was a long shot.
Not everything. Not everything. Will the NHL playoffs be diminished to you without any of the American original 6 teams?
Tony, this is near and dear to me because the Blackhawks haven't been in for a while and won a series in like 10 years since they won their 3rd cup in 5 years. And they're not in it, and the Red Wings are not in it again. And so when you have no Rangers, no Red Wings, no Blackhawks, but you do have Ovi and no Boston, no Bruins, but you got Ovechkin.
You don't have the Bruins,
But you got Ovechkin, and you don't have Sidney Crosby either. Goodness, not that he's an original 6 guy because Pittsburgh isn't. They were expansion, But, Tony, it's a lot of star power in terms of franchise, jerseys, people whose fans watch no matter what come springtime, and that's what we are. I'm not going to say it's diminished because you got McDavid and you got Ovechkin, and there's a sprinkling of stars. But if you lose those guys early, I will change and say diminished.
Yeah, I would not use the word diminished either. I mean, it's sort of quirky to me. I never really gave it any thought of the original American 16 and have that. I will say this. I'm very surprised that Detroit has been down for a while and hasn't been fixed, because Detroit is a really important franchise. I'm surprised that Boston is sliding like this. They need to be fixed. The Rangers are rarely good. They were good last year, but they're not good this year. They have returned to type. And your team, the Blackhawks, I believe have missed 7 of the last 8 playoffs. So Connor Bedard by himself is not going to elevate that team. I will tell you, Mike, my sense of this is that I care more about Toronto and Montreal being in it, because to me, they're the original 2.
And they haven't
because it's a Canadian sport. And so far they're in it. So I will probably root for them. But I don't feel it's diminished. I don't.
No, I don't.
All right.
But they're in the Rory position right now. They need to. It's been a while. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. Enough email. We'll take one last break still to come. What should the Saints do if Derek Carr can't play?
And the Suns say see ya to Coach Bud after just one miserable, awful, forlorn season. Unforgivably
you know
bad.
What? They're a disaster.
They are.
They're a disaster from top to bottom.
Yep.
They are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Some might just say the top.
Happy time, people. Happy 25th birthday, Patrick Surtain II. The Broncos defensive back was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year this past season when he made 34 solo tackles and had 4 interceptions. Surtain joined Randy Gradishar as the only players in Broncos history to be named Defensive Player of the Year. Surtain was drafted 9th overall in 2021 out of Alabama, and he has already been first-team All-Pro twice and made 3 Pro Bowls. That matches his father's numbers.
Wow.
Patrick Surtain was a 2-time All-Pro with the Miami Dolphins, and he made 3 Pro Bowls himself.
He's going to pass his pops. I mean, if he stays healthy, he could double his pops. He just call him up today on his birthday and say, yeah, it's my birthday. I'm coming after you, old man. And there's nothing his dad can say. Good for them. How proud his father must be.
Happy anniversary, Pedro Martinez. Around this day 31 years ago, while making only his 2nd start for the Montreal Expos, Pedro carried a perfect game into the 8th when he hit Cincinnati outfielder Reggie Sanders. Sanders immediately charged the mound, thinking Pedro hit him deliberately, as Pedro had thrown inside to Sanders in previous at-bats. I guess Sanders didn't consider the craziness of deliberately hitting someone 2 innings away from throwing a perfect game. Pedro is one of the great all-time pitchers, winning a Cy Young in Montreal, 2 in Boston. His career record is .219 and 100 with a .293 ERA.
And now, Tony, thankfully, Pedro's in the talking business. And when it comes to talking about baseball or sports or anything else we hear him talk about publicly, he and Smoltz and Darling, pitchers, of course, those are the 3 people I would rather listen to talk about baseball than anybody. I know there's some great former players out there, particularly locally in each market, but I want to hear them. You can start with Pedro.
Happy trails, Mike Budenholzer. Phoenix fired Coach Bood today after just 1 season, a deeply disappointing one that saw the Suns miss the postseason. The Suns finished 36-46, despite the star trio of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Also today, the Pelicans dismissed head of basketball operations David Griffin after a disastrous 21-61 campaign. Griffin had run the team for 6 seasons, just 2 playoff appearances. Zion Williamson only played in 45% of the team's games and never in the playoffs. Never since Griffin drafted him number 1 overall in 2019.
So don't dare blame my man Griff. Was he not supposed to draft Zion? If he didn't draft Zion, you would have been screaming for his head because he didn't take him. Then he took him, and Zion's out there between, meals in the French Quarter. And Phoenix is a total disaster. When Griff was there, they were not a disaster, the Phoenix Suns, and they are now. And I don't know how they fix it. I don't know where they go with those salaries. The trade
I know you love Griffin. I love him less than you.
I love him.
I don't like the owner at Phoenix at all. I think everything he does turns to sand. Ooh, everything turns to sand. Let's go to the big finish. Victor Wembanyama says he believes he will be ready to go for training camp in September. Your thoughts?
Tony, that would be a good thing. If he's not right away and he has to delay it for a while, okay, but just Victor Wembanyama back on the floor is a good thing. The NFL Network reports that Derek Carr could miss the season for the Saints with shoulder issues. What does that mean?
It means hello, Aaron Rodgers. Is that a place where you'd like to land for a season? Aaron Rodgers.
Come on now.
Cubs starter Justin Steele out for the season with pitching elbow injury already. Is that a big loss?
Yes, he's no worse than our second best starter. We had 2 aces on that staff, and now we're down to 1. The Winnipeg Jets secured the President's Trophy as the best regular season team. Are you impressed? Is that a good thing?
I'm impressed, but it's a scary thing. Those teams don't win. They don't win the playoffs. Last one, WNBA draft tonight. You have any predictions?
Yeah, we know Paige Beckers is going first. That's not a prediction. Dominique Malonga, French player, right? The video of her seems unbelievable. Just wonder what we're going to think after a few games in the regular season when we get there.
We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time. Happy birthday, Michael. I'll take care of the trees. Don't worry about it.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Shout out to my man Chauncey Billups with that extension in Portland where he's doing great work. Your sports.
PTI. My bonus.
All right, Wilbon, what was the most impressive part of Rory's win at Augusta?
Tony, I actually have a strong feeling about this. The most impressive part was first the willingness and then the ability to just hang in there. Whether you want to attribute that to head or heart, I don't care. But look, you and I play a lot of golf. And whether you're a 20 handicap weekend player or Rory McIlroy, you melt down. You just do. It doesn't matter how good you are. Rory showed that yesterday. And when you do melt down, the difference is the weekend player, you and I, at some point, you go, well, you want to write down, what'd you get on that hole? A 6? No, I got BIP. What's BIP? Ball in pocket. I'm done on this hole. And we melt down. And we can't get it back. We just want to go to the 19th hole. Rory doesn't have that. And he had disappointment after disappointment, not just now, but for years. 11 of these, he talked about it afterward. He talks to his comrades, his peers. And so the willingness to hang in there and do this, I am totally impressed with Rory McIlroy for that.
I agree with every single word that you've just said, because I think that the greatest thing about Rory McIlroy was that, in fact, he did not appear as a puddle in the corner somewhere.
Yeah.
Because nobody that good has ever been that good and that bad in the same tournament.
Same time.
He was terrible at times. He was great, and then he was terrible. I believe nobody has ever actually won the Masters and had 2 doubles in the final round, and he did. And nobody has actually won the Masters and had 4 doubles in the 4 days, and he did. His shot on Sunday, his shot into the water on a small chip on 13 was one of the worst shots anyone has ever seen.
Yeah.
His shot on 18 in the sand with a gap wedge was a terrible shot. But right after that, he's forced himself into a playoff. He hits an unbelievably great shot on 18 to 2 feet. And we saw this all tournament long with Rory McIlroy, just extremes. There was never an even keel, Mike. Never. It was either fabulous or horrific, and I'm glad that he won. I'm glad that he won, and to get this off his back,
yeah,
I'm glad.
I loved it when, in the aftermath, he looked at his daughter, who was sitting there, Poppy, and she's what, maybe 3? And he looked at her and said, you know, I want you to take something from this, which is just keep trying. Just keep doing it. And I thought, that's it. That's if you learn nothing else from this. And on a golf course, I play a lot of sports in my life. None of them test that, your belief in yourself, like golf. Good for Rory. That's it. We're done. Back to you.